Okay. Steven Universe Final. Change your mind. It sucks so much. It was so cringy. I could not even watch it. There was a part in that episode, a part that I had to skip every 2 minutes. It was so cringy. Yeah? This show knew, it used to know how to do emotions right. And now, let's address the worst issues in this video, in this final. The fact that every time Steven talks to the diamonds about their ways, they are always convinced almost instantly. And that is so stupid. Alright? Stupid. Why? You can do so much with this. And then you go for the easiest route. They're just convinced. Okay, I'll tell you the core issue about that. They had 5,000 years to think about better ideas, better ways to live their life. 5,000 years, and that is just in the period that Rose Quartz with that pink diamond was presumed dead. And they couldn't think that the way of life they are living right now is not good for them. If you live that long and you don't realize that your life is making you miserable, then a simple "you're wrong" argument will not work. Okay? And the fact that he convinced each and every one of them with just "you're wrong" show how cheap this story is. You could have done so much with it. The second worst thing that they did is that instead of going to the ideas of freedom, the creators decided to go for the ideas of freedom of expression, right? Instead of the idea that gems are not free, it's the idea that gems are not free to express themselves. And it's like you need to choose between an egg or a chicken that makes eggs. Instead you go for the egg. Why? There's so much you can do with it. You can have an entire season based on those ideas, on Steven being on homeworld, of trying to convince gems, and you're feeling it inside 6 episodes, 7, 8, I don't know, right? Like 3 episodes, and then 1 special. It's about 8 episodes, right? And you're taking the cheapest ways to finish the series. The cheapest ways to give it a, how do you say? You're just butchering through the plot. That's what you're doing. You're rushing it. Even though you can do so much with it. What happened with all those filler episodes? If you didn't do all those filler episodes, you probably can use those filler episodes in previous seasons to add to this final, and you rush it instead just so you can have those filler episodes. And then the second issue is the fact that there's no bad guys, right? I like stories with gray morality. Even though I like stories about good and evil as well. Steven Universe is a story about good and evil, not a story of the gray area. Okay, if it was not a story about good and evil, then there was no need to convince the diamonds that they are evil. Right? That's basically the entire final. Convincing the diamonds that they are evil. And when you try to make everyone gray, it does not work. There's got to be an ultimate evil. There got to be someone who is irredeemable for this kind of story that we're trying to tell. And Rebecca Sugar doesn't know how to do it. She refused to do it because she doesn't believe in good and evil. Fine. But at least design the story not to be about good and evil. Design the story about not trying to convince the characters that they are evil. Make it that there are gray areas, that there are gray stories, that there are gray choices, that there is reason behind what the gems do. There are reason behind their action and their culture and their behavior. But they don't do that. Why? It simply just look like they're just lazy. They don't want to make a complex story, even though they don't know how to make they don't know how to make a complex story, even though they want it to be a complex story, and they want it to be about freedom of expression, even though the story would fit far more better into the ideas of freedom. And a story about freedom of expression and about loving yourself can be easily summarized in less than 10 minutes, maybe 20. But the ideas of freedom are far more complex, and they can have an entire TV series about freedom. Because freedom is not simple. It is it exists between in circles inside circles. You can't, for example, a man cannot be free to murder, even though murdering somebody else is a sort of freedom if it doesn't have any consequences to that. So there is a complex idea behind it. There is a complex idea behind the freedom to do something, like the freedom to steal. If you steal, you impinge about someone else's freedom, but it is still a form of freedom if you do it without consequences. You understand? And there are more morally gray area, like if someone is starving, does he have the freedom to steal food, or does he have the freedom to steal gold so he can sell it and eat, buy food with it? And what Steven Universe final does, I don't know actually if it is a final, but it's definitely it definitely appears that way. Or it shows what the creators think about good and evil, or all those ideas that she presented. You cannot make a story about good and evil without evil in it. A story has to have self-identity, self-awareness of what it is before you can make it good, and you need to know how it ends. You can just write everything along with it. You don't need to know how a story like that ends, so you don't end up rushing it or making sure it not be plagued by plot holes and stuff like that. And there's even more issues of this, even in previous episodes. Why does the Pink Diamonds not put a trial for treason? They put Rose Quartz on trial for treason. I assume they don't put her on treason because she's a pink diamond. But then in this episode they say that they should not make exceptions even for diamonds, even though pink diamonds basically betrayed their empire. So why is she not put on on trial for treason. Okay, I'm fine. Okay, I'm fine with that. Not entirely fine, but I can live with it. Okay, I can even live with the fact that Connie was entirely out of character by forcing Steven to dance with her. She's the most most strict character, the most second to most disciplined character in the show, and she's the smartest. You can even say. Yet she asks Steven to dance with her, even though they are basically working on landmines there, on Homeworld, on landmines. Anything they do is recorded. Everything they do is being watched. And she asked him to do the most controversial thing for James to do, risking to cause disruption, things that will harm his political endeavor in the Gem Homeworld. I love this show. Yeah, I really liked it, but without it being self-aware what it is, it will never be good again. This is very helpful. This is very helpful. I loved it. This was Fearless Shepherd. I'll see you next time.